The hardware requirements for the highly anticipated open-world shooter video game Redfall have just been released, and they're making some gamers do a double take. That's because the system requirements ask for 32 gigabytes of RAM, which is a lot compared to the average gaming PC. While this may sound like a lot, there's good news. Gamers don't have to rush to get a RAM upgrade quite yet. The 32 gigabytes RAM requirement isn't a universal requirement. It's part of the Ultra spec. It's unknown exactly what this entails, possibly running the game with max details at 4K resolution. That's also the case for two other PC games released in the past week, Diablo 4 and Firmament, an adventure game from the makers of Myst. In fact, the RAM trend of late seems to be maxing out details at 4K resolution. Most PC gamers aren't playing at 4K though. According to the latest Steam hardware survey, only 2% of gamers play at 4K, meaning this demanded spec isn't necessary for a majority of players. Things aren't so grim for those with Type 16 GB RAM PCs. The recommended spec for Redfall and the high spec for Diablo 4 don't require 32 GB of RAM. Firmament developer recommends 32 GB as the Ultra spec, but they state that the game will run just fine at 16 GB. This doesn't mean gamers should shun 16 GB RAM. After all, the majority of PCs have 16 GB, and that's sufficient for most games. However, if gamers are buying a new gaming rig, it may be wise to shell out for the 32 GB RAM for future proofing. At this point, the cost of opting for 32 GB isn't that much different from 16 GB. So don't be alarmed if you see developers bragging about needing massive amounts of RAM for games. More than likely, the demand is for higher resolution and future proofing. As always, it pays to stay